What's up, guys? In this video, I'll show you how you can create a job scorecard for employees that you will hire and have clear outlined expectations to how you want them to perform in your company so that you can avoid these super annoying talks that you might need to have at some point with your employees or team where they aren't performing on the highest level possible, which I can totally understand because I run a company myself. We have 20 employees currently, and sometimes you just have to have these talks. And when you do have to have these talks, a job scorecard is what literally saves you and also helps your team or employees to understand what exactly do you expect from them to deliver so that they can also themselves grow within your organization. So that's super, super important. Let's jump right into it. I'm going to show you exactly how I create one, what topics I cover, and then how you can do it yourself step by step. So I'm going to share my screen right now and let's jump into it. But before we do so, I definitely need my coffee because otherwise I cannot think. So let's take this coffee upstairs and then I'll show you exactly how I do things. How do you create a job scorecard for your teams or future hires to make sure they perform on the highest level possible and don't disappoint you, and also give them the chance to grow within your organization and perform at the highest level possible? So let's jump into it. I'm here in Notion. That's where we build out all our hiring, job scorecards, SOPs, anything, you name it. So I'm going to walk you through how we have it set up and what I do to create a job scorecard so you can replicate the same outline for yourself and for the role that you're going to hire. So I think it might make sense to go over a job scorecard from a job recruiter, because you might need a recruiter in the future anyways to hire. So let's go over that one. Cool. So the first thing you want to do when you write a job scorecard is to make sure everything in there is clearly outlined. So how do we do that? We're going to create a little menu from top to bottom that people can click on when they receive this, because it's going to be such a pain in the ass to just scroll down. If they are a higher level role, like it's a pretty long job scorecard. This one is pretty short. That's why I'm choosing this for you guys. So the first thing we want to do is talk about the role in itself. You want to outline what is the role. Then you want to go over the mission and purpose of the role. Let's go over here. So the mission and purpose for us, for example, it's this mission of this role is to grow the creator training team as effectively as possible by recruiting job applicants, testing them, training them, and onboarding them into the team. This role is fully responsible for identifying future hiring needs of the company, designing jobs descriptions, sourcing candidates, blah, blah, blah. You get the point. So you want to really go deep into what does this role accomplish. For example, if you hire for customer success, the main mission is to get clients results, versus a recruiter is to hire new candidates. So that's the first two things you need to outline. It's also really great to use the first part and the second part in your job post when you are hiring. Now, the next thing you want to outline is the required competencies, because they vary from role to role. So the first thing would be for a recruiter, for example, you got to be able to constantly learn and improve. You have to be great at creating efficiency. You have to be great at creating effective systems and processes. You have to be good at sales and great communication and a good vision. So why do we choose sales? Because when you are recruiting, you're basically needing to convince people that your company is the best place to work at. So that's why for us personally, it's super important to have someone with sales skills in there that can actually talk to. We're mainly hiring salespeople, so it would be really weird if we had a recruiter that doesn't understand sales. They're not going to respect our company. So you have to also think about who are you mainly hiring. If you hire sales, you definitely want someone who also understands sales if they're hiring for you. And then we just outlined the most important competencies like hunger and work ethic, and all of this really depends also on your company values. So for us, it's really important to be hungry and have an insane work ethic. Otherwise, you won't make it in this company, in our company in this case. So very important to outline your values here and what you expect in terms of competencies. And then also important, the technical knowledge required. So for example, for us, really important, Notion, that's where we have our whole company basically set up. Then ManyChat, SalesMate, that's basically our hiring CRM, Gmail, Slack, whatever, you name it. Next thing would be to outline the cultural fit, because mostly when you hire people, they want to make sure they are in a great environment that they enjoy, and you obviously want to enjoy working with the people that you're going to be working with for the rest of your life, probably. So it's super important that there is a cultural value match. And I can just show you a quick sneak peek, but that's something for the next video, how we set up our values. So you want to have a whole thing outlined about your values, for example, or die, and then outline good and bad examples. So people really know what does good look like within your company. Speed is king, everyone is a floor sweeper, and so forth. So that's basically what we have outlined. You need to have this, and I'm going to address this in a different video. Now let's go back and continue here. So you want to have the cultural fit, you want to have the required qualifications for the recruiting role. For example, would be the ability to conduct different types of interviews, experience with recruitment processes and databases, the ability to design and implement recruiting strategies, excellent communication skills, good interpersonal skills, good decision-making skills. So very important for a recruiter role. Next, you want to outline responsibilities that the person's actually covering, so they know exactly what they're getting themselves into, and also know if they will be able to perform in these responsibilities themselves. So I'm just going to read you the top 3 so you know what you have to write in there. It's, first of all, for us, design and implement overall recruiting strategies, develop and update job descriptions and job specifications, research new jobs and roles to document job requirements and objectives, blah, blah, blah. So you write your responsibilities in there, okay? The next thing you want to outline are the outcomes. So when you hire someone, you want to show them like what happens in the first 30 days and what do you expect from them in the first 30 days to be happy with their performance and have them succeed within your organization. You want to outline the 60-day targets and the 90-day targets. For example, the 30-day targets is learn and teach yourself all tools required to succeed in the role. ManyChat, Notion, SalesMate, etc. Study and learn our entire recruiting process for all responsible roles. Have 45 plus candidate interviews completed, roughly 2 per day. Have 4 new candidates fully hired and trained. So within the first month, we want to see if the person performs. That's why you attach numbers, clear KPIs in those time frames so that you first of all know, hey, this person is a good hire, I can trust that person, or you say it's maybe not the right fit, didn't perform. And then the other thing for you is too, or for the person you're actually hiring, they know exactly, like we said before, it's so important, how does good look like for you? So if you don't communicate, you want to have 10 hires by the end of the week and they only deliver 2, then you can be mad at them because you didn't really communicate that. So that's why we do this and avoid like the conflict or the weird conversations of not performing because they're really uncomfortable, I can tell you. So the 60-day targets would be have 60 plus candidates interviewed and roughly 3 per day, 4 new candidates fully hired and trained. And then the 90-day targets would be the same. So that's what we expect in the first 90 days. And that is what good looks like for us. Okay? So you have to do this for yourself. Look, you know what good looks like for you. Now the next thing, super important, is to set clear monthly KPIs that the person can look at and be like, okay, how am I performing? The next thing is too that every single week or month you need to sit with them and hold them accountable to these KPIs. Because if you just can't afford having a B player on the team that just hires 1 person instead of 4, then that person needs to be leaving your company because it's not up to your standards. So make sure you have the KPIs outlined. So for the KPIs, you want to have clearly measurable, specific goals set on a monthly basis. For example, for the recruiting role that we have, it would be in the end of the month, I need to see 4 full hires. The next thing we would KPI a recruiter on is basically the minimum percentage of applicants that get interviewed to hiring ratio. So for example, like if we interview 100, you should at least be able to hire 10. But that's really important that you have like clear metrics for performance in your KPIs for your next hire. So the next thing you probably want to put in your KPIs is the daily execution of team and administrative tasks. So it's really important to actually outline that stuff, because if you are expecting someone to update the CRM, train candidates, grading results, but you didn't really outline that, you can't be really mad at that person for not performing. And that's why we put it in here, so they know exactly this is what is expected from my manager or boss or CEO, and I can perform this on a daily basis. Also,
if the person is not doing it, you have something to hold them accountable to, because you can now pull up this beautiful job scorecard and say, hey, how do you think you did last week based on the administrative tasks that we have set together in the beginning when you started? And they would say, oh, I actually forgot to do this and that. So this would really help you determine if someone's good or not. The next thing is the OTE and comp structure. So if you have a compensation, is it salary, is it commission-based, is it base pay plus commission, is it hourly? Then you want to put your minimum on track earnings, super important. So like, what is the minimum you want them to make? And then performance on track earnings, if they exceed the KPIs that you have set here. So maybe they hire 6 people instead of 4 on a monthly basis. That's amazing. So you want to obviously pay them more for better performance. Then you also want to add bonuses. For example, if you hit quarterly KPIs, you a certain amount, like 5K, 2K, 3K, whatever you want to give them for exceeding the KPIs on a quarterly basis. The last thing, super important, is the recruiting position description. So the time that you expect them to be working, what hours, what days, if the position is remote or from your office. Then the last thing is the compensation. So how much will they be making? And then the bonuses clearly outlined. I usually also like to put in here another one, which is time off. So that's super important to clearly communicate that, because if you don't, people don't really know what to do. So I usually say, okay, so it's your responsibility if you want time off. If you are sick, no problem, but you need to find a replacement. That is super important, because I don't want to have people on my team that are just like, oh, peace, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks, and you have a whole business to run with like thousands of clients and a whole team that depends on that person. So it's super important to clearly communicate what you expect and how you expect people to communicate with you when an emergency happens or when people need time off. So I'm going to scroll back up here so you can actually take a screenshot of this right now, so you have a little outline on what you need to put in your next job scorecard.
Hi, my name is Jenny. I am sharing weekly strategies with you on how I scale our creators training company that is an online marketing program with my boyfriend Julian from $0 to $1 million a month, and absolutely have no idea if we actually get there. Currently we have 20 employees, and I'll share with you the struggles that I'm facing, the ups and the downs, and I really just hope that you can learn from this and get some value out of this. Go give me a subscribe, and let's prove the haters wrong. Let's prove them that we can actually do it. I hope I'm not going to be called out in a year that I didn't get there, so I really have to put myself out there now. So let's do this.